Hello, everyone. My name is Bernardo Sim, and I'm a writer for Our Magazine. Today, I will be speaking with Bianca Del Rio about her brand new tour, Dead Inside. So let's get started. Bianca, how's your day going?
It's going well, but for the record, since this is a video, this is not my home. Behind me, I would never choose this color. This is like some trading spaces. This I'm in a hotel, and as you can see, I'm cheap, but this is where I'm at for this. So don't accuse me of this decor, because if you saw this room, you would say she's not gay. I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. I'm doing even better now talking to you. I'm excited.
Well, you've got to get out more if I'm your excitement of the day. I got to tell you that.
Well, I live in Florida, so times are tough
Oh,
right now. Yeah,
yeah, well,
yeah,
if it's Florida, you can't go to a drag brunch, so you're gonna have to talk to me here. Yeah, so I'm
yeah,
glad
yeah,
you're doing well.
yeah. We last saw you hit the road with the Unsanitized tour, which was
Mm.
between 2021 and 2022. How excited are you to travel the world again with the Dead Inside tour?
Well, I enjoy the traveling. It's funny because most people complain about it, but for me, it's one of those things that once you start it, you just ride the wave. It's like anal sex, you just gotta do it. And once you start it, you're like, this isn't so bad. So I've had some time off, and I thought I would be doing a lot more television and film, but there was a little thing called the writer's strike. So not
Right.
much went on in that world. But I am excited to get back out on the road, and there's so much to discuss again, with the world as it is, and just to get to see people again. I mean, the last tour, as you stated, that I was on the road with was right after the pandemic, so there was this desire and this need to get out of my house and go see people, and I kind of have the same feeling again. It's been a year. That's a long time for a drag queen to hide. So I am ready to go back on the road. We start February 12th in San Diego, and that's the start of it. Now it's listed as a world tour, but as I've experienced in every comment that I get, what about Argentina? What about Brazil? Canada and USA are not the world. And I go, I'm aware of this, but that's just the first dates that we've announced. So this is the first leg of the tour, which is 60 US and Canadian dates that we are starting out with in February. So I'm stoked. I'm excited because there's nothing better than making people laugh or being in a room with people where we're laughing at someone else.
Yeah. Well, I'm Brazilian born and raised, even though I live in the United States.
Yeah.
So I have to ask for my people, is Brazil included in those
Yes,
dates?
it is. Actually, I just came from Brazil. I had a quick one-off, which is a random situation where I was asked to fill in for someone last minute. So I went to Brazil. I was in Sao Paulo and did a show,
Hmm.
but we were very successful there last tour. We did 3 nights in Sao Paulo. We did Curitiba. We did Rio. We did it all. So the people of Brazil, I must say, are extremely passionate people. They are wild, and I love every goddamn minute of it. They are good times. Good times.
Yeah, my people are good times, but
Good
we're a little
times.
crazy, but we're good times. Yeah.
No, we like crazy.
Um,
Look who you're talking to. Crazy, please.
how would you describe the Dead Inside tour in comparison to your previous tours?
Well, because so much has happened in the world, so there's so much more to talk about now. So, there's obviously differences within the last tour and this tour, but also for me, the writing process starts early on where you're jotting down, writing ideas and different jokes and stuff. But then, literally, from when we started planning the tour, which was probably 6 months ago, up until
Mhm.
now, the amount of that's happened, I can't wait to see what's going to happen by February. Also, it's an election year in America, which
Yeah.
means it's going to be endless to discuss. But I think it's important to discuss it. And as I said before, in these trying times, we need to laugh at it. We need to laugh at ourselves. I mean, for Christ's sake, I'm the biggest joke there is. So there's lots for us to cover. I mean, there's the 92nd season of Drag Race that's out in the world. We've got politicians that are getting kicked out for being a hot mess. Miss Santos, there's
Miss
so much to
Santos.
cover.
Yeah.
Hopefully Mitch McConnell's funeral. Let's hope. Let's hope that old son of a.
Oh, as a gay Floridian, I'm looking forward to hearing the jokes about Mr. DeSantis.
Oh, her with her heels, the nerve, her wearing
The
those little
nerve.
heels, and she's saying drag can't perform. Oh, I can't wait for Florida. I can't, and no one ever says that, but I'm looking forward to it.
Speaking of Drag Race in the 95th season,
Yes,
we're now at season 16 of Drag
crazy.
Race, which means that there are 10 entire seasons since you appeared in season 6. How do you feel looking back at all of these years and how much the show has evolved?
It's crazy to think. In some ways, you go, "Oh my God, that was 20 years ago," and in some ways, you're like, "That was yesterday." So it
Yes.
is this weird nostalgic thing for me. But I have to give credit to the show and to the fact that it was such an amazing platform. It was a great platform. It was great timing for me. I was grateful for those seasons early on because we were the only franchise that was on television for quite some time. So we really got it good in the early years. So I'm just grateful. I'm grateful that I still get to work. I'm still grateful that the show is around. I'm still grateful that drag is brought into people's living rooms. It does make it a bit confusing at something like DragCon when endless drag queens say, hey girl," and I don't know who the they are or where they came from, but they're always very nice. So no, I think it's amazing. There's the good and bad with all of it. It's great that drag is being celebrated, but it's also kind of wild that everybody now wants to tell you how to do drag and how drag needs to be done, or the comparisons, which is just so insane to me. But that comes with anything. That's social media. So the fact that the show is present, the fact that the show people are interested in, a majority of my audience is usually straight women, which is
Yes.
amazing, because I come from a time when they only saw me in a gay bar, so
Yeah.
it's a big deal. So there's peaks and valleys with all of it. I'm
Yeah.
much like, I can't believe it's been this many years. I really, really can't.
It's just interesting, season 16, and you were in season 6, and there's this 10-year block between seasons now, and it's really interesting. Another thing that I want to ask you, because you're also a queen from New York City, I heard Bob the other day say something very funny that Bob went to apparently like a drag show recently, and Bob realized, oh my God, I don't know any of these queens here. I don't know
Yeah.
any of these queens performing, any of these people working at the bar. Have you also had those experiences, like going to New York City and just being like this whole
Oh
new
God,
generation of
yes.
people you don't know?
Well, to clarify, I'm not from New York. I lived in New York for
Right.
many, many years, and it's so easy when you live in New York for a long period of time to say I'm from New York. And my attitude definitely lends to New York. But what's crazy, I think, is what's the rule? After 10 years, you're considered a real New Yorker. So I put in
Right.
my time, and also as Bob did, where we were like some of the few from Drag Race New York that actually worked in the city, had multiple nights. I mean, there was other people like Thorgy, Monet, that had nights, but we worked, and you were in those bars literally every night for years. And so right after Drag Race, we had many viewing parties. So I was still in New York at that time. And literally within a year, 2 years, 3 years, you're like, who the is this? What happened to her? And at my age, they all go, girl, she died. And that's when I start to realize I'm an old person. So I'm glad that Bob is feeling the heat now. She needs to. But the gay world moves quickly. It really, really does. I would say there's a turnover every 3 to 6 months. New York City might be even faster than that, because there's so many people that come in and out of the city. But it does, the tides do change. And I do chalk it up as like, am I supposed to know who these people are? And I don't mean that in a Mariah Carey, Jennifer Lopez way. I mean it in a, I truly have no Mariah knows who J-Lo is. But I mean, I haven't gotten everybody's names. I haven't figured out who everybody is. I definitely don't know always if they're on Drag Race. I am pretty good with the past 2 seasons of Drag Race because I hosted Pit Stop.
Pit
So
stop.
I have a little bit of knowledge on those particular queens. Not because I like them, because I was paid to like them. So now I'm kind of like back where I started, where I'm like, I have no idea. Like a whole new cast was just announced. I'm like,
Yeah.
who? All right, a whole new set of names to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We're in this interesting time, and next year being a political year, I can only imagine things are going to get even a little bit crazier. But right now, we have some comedians that feel like people are getting too sensitive in recent years, and then we have other comedians saying maybe this is just an opportunity to update our jokes and cater to this new audience. Where do you stand between these conflicting ideas?
Well, I think the conflict is not necessarily with the audience. I think it has a lot to do with the individual. If you, put it this way, I'm a specific type, the average person doesn't know who I am. But if you are affiliated with Drag Race, or if you care about drag queens, or if you happen to live in New York, or if you're my drug dealer that I owe money to, I'm on your radar. So that's a
Bianca, a lot of people know you, Bianca. A lot
well,
of
you know
people
what I'm
know you,
saying. It's a
Bianca.
different thing. So I think that, the audience that comes to see me knows what I am about, knows where I
Right.
come from, knows my point of view, and that's why we connect. The problem with the world today is everybody wants to be super famous and everybody everybody wants to be super liked and everybody wants to be super rich. Well, once you move to another platform on that level and try to cater to that particular audience, that's not the audience that built you, it can be really problematic, because the average person would say to me, oh, that's a man. Oh, you know, that's an ignorant person in America, which we experience a lot of. And there's no offense, that's their opinion, but I'm not trying to appeal to them. So I think if you stick with your base people or the people that are smart, I often say that usually the smart people get it. It then works for you. So don't try to build beyond your means, you know, because everyone is not going to like you. Look at someone who's on television every day. I watched Kelly Ripa this morning here in New York, and I wanted to just scratch my eyes out, but somebody likes her. You know what I mean? Whatever. But
Yeah.
that's not me. That's not my thing. But she's got millions of people that think she's amazing. Great. So I don't know. I'm torn with it, because I don't think, I think it's a catch-22. You know, people like you for a certain reason. And so if you start trickling back and I become a Christian who's Republican, it could really be a problem. It could be a problem for my audience.
Yeah, that is
Not to mention
not the
my own
tea.
mental state. My own
Yeah.
mental state would be.
Yeah, that is not the tea. But what are you looking forward to the most on going on this new tour throughout 2024? Is there anything that you're interested or curious in doing?
Oh my God, just seeing people again. You know, it's been a hot minute. You know, a lot of the drag race alumni, and that's using very big words for these other that are from Drag Race, complain about meet and greets. And I absolutely love the meet and greet part. I meet 150 to 200 people a night, and it's the best part of the night, because you get to cackle with these people that are interested in you, that enjoy you, that paid to see you. I mean, I used to work in a bar where nobody even showed up on nights. You know, there'd be 2 people a night, sometimes 2, sometimes 100. So it's the humbling part of all of it. You know, you realize people are there to support you and how lucky you are. Not to mention, they give you the best gifts and they give you the best material. You know, within the first 10 minutes, you know everything about these people because they can't wait to tell you. Or they're like, oh, girl, we brought my friend here and she's got and this. And I'm like, perfect. It's all stuff I can then use in the show. So I look forward to that. You know, and I strive in and thrive, I should say, in a structured setting. So having shows, having dates, having to be here, having to be there always works well for me. So I enjoy the rhythm of it. Once you get started, as I said, it's like anal. You just got to ride the wave. And I'm looking forward to it. You know, it's just fun to be back out on the road. That's always the best part of it, you know? And then you
Yeah.
go home and go, what was I doing for 6 months or 9 months or 10 months or a year? You know, because sometimes it lasts a while. So you got to find your rhythm. You got to find your rhythm
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah, I love the structure setting too. It's very Joan Rivers, and especially in the documentary, she really talked about that structure and having those dates always filled up. And yeah, it's just exciting that you're getting back on the road and we're getting to see you again live in
Live.
theater.
Well, you know what? There's been talk that I'm not really alive. So, you know, I could be a hologram like
That
RuPaul
inside,
and not a
that
real
inside.
person. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm live. I'm live for now, but I guarantee that my management would still prop me up even if I was dead and do a show. And then what? Dead inside. There we go.
That
No,
inside, there you
no
go.
litigation. No litigation. No issue. It's all in the title. Dead
It's
inside.
all in the title. No one can sue you for saying that you are not there. Yep, yep,
Yes.
that works out.
Agreed.
Yeah. One final question for you is
Sure.
no shade, no shade to the other queens, no
Donald
shade,
Trump.
no shade, no
Donald
shade.
Trump.
No,
Donald
no,
Trump.
no.
I'm kidding. No.
But it feels like in the last few years, the casts of Drag Race haven't had a lot of hilarious, funny
Huh?
queens necessarily. What do you think is going on, Bianca?
Oh, well, you know, I think as you said earlier, the show has evolved and the show is we have a lot of and there's no shade to people being young, but different types of people. Like I don't think nowadays in the particular version that's airing now, I would be cast in the show, you know? So 10 years ago was a different vibe, a different energy. Also 10 years ago, I was 37, 38 years old doing the show. I had already worked in the bars and been around. And as I said, had those nights where people were there, some people were not there. So I had a skill set, I had an approach. I came into it as like, hey, let me just try this out and see what's going to happen because I'm on the end of my drag career, so to speak, that I
Love
had
that.
chosen, that I said, you know what, maybe at 40, I'll quit. So that was a different vibe. That was a different energy than the young kids nowadays who watch YouTube tutorials or are Instagram famous or are TikTok girls that are gorgeous and beautiful and create looks, that it's just a different skill set. So I think part of it lies in that. Also, part of it lies in casting. You know, if you know anything about the show business, it's all young, 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 young. You know, and right before you die, they go, "Oh, we love you." So I think that's probably it. It's not so much experience because they're talented, but it's the experience of basically performing live. They've grown up on the show, which is insane to even think about. They've grown up with Drag Race. They know every catchphrase from Drag Race. They probably know the show better than any of us. And that's a different commitment than it is for us who did the show early on when there really wasn't that much of a blueprint to follow, you know?
Right, right,
Yeah.
absolutely. So my last question is, would you invite our outreaders to attend that Insight tour?
Yes, they need to come. Of course they do. As I said, we start February 11th in San Diego. And currently, right now, our dates are just out for America and Canada. And you can get all of your ticket information at thebiancadelrio.com. You can also check me out on Instagram and Twitter by the same, do we call it Twitter? It's X. I can't get with the X thing. I don't know. And I even have a Threads account, but I forget about it. But nonetheless, that's where you can find me to find out any dates and also the additional dates that we will be adding as we go along. So right now, the first 60 are up. So go and get your tickets. Get ready to cackle. You better start laughing because this election year is going to be rough. It's like up the with no lube. Rough.